Lusail Stadium. 88,000 people. Lionel Messi has just put Argentina ahead from the penalty spot, and the world is nodding along because this is how the script goes. Argentina have not lost a match in 3 years. 36 games unbeaten. The favourites for the whole tournament. And then, in the space of 5 second-half minutes, a team ranked 51st on the planet does something that should be impossible. They score, and they score again. And the greatest player alive stands in the centre circle, hands on hips, watching the impossible happen. Remember this feeling. Because every story tonight begins exactly here. Before we go further, you have to understand what an upset actually costs. Not the underdog, the favourite. A giant arrives at a World Cup carrying everything. The records, the reputation, the certainty of a nation that has already decided the result. The bigger the name, the further there is to fall. An upset is not just a scoreline, it is a public unmaking, broadcast to the entire world with no place to hide. And the greatest shocks are unforgettable because they almost never come from the team you expect. They come from the smallest, the newest, the ones nobody could find on a map. Belo Horizonte, Brazil, 1950. England are at their first ever World Cup, and they arrive as the self-styled kings of football. Their record before the tournament reads like a warning. 23 wins, only 4 defeats. They had beaten Italy 4-0 and crushed Portugal 10-0. Across the white line stand the United States, a team of part-timers and weekend amateurs, a schoolteacher, a dishwasher, a man who drove a hearse for his uncle's funeral home. Bookmakers offered the Americans at 500 to 1. 500. Nobody gave them 90 seconds, let alone the full 90 minutes. Then, in the 37th minute, the unthinkable. Walter Barr struck a shot from 25 yards. As the English keeper shifted his weight to gather it, Joe Gaetjens, a striker born in Haiti, threw himself headlong at the ball. The faintest touch. Just enough to send it past the diving goalkeeper, who could no longer change direction. 1-0, England, the kings of football, hammered at the door for the rest of the match and never broke through. The final whistle sent shockwaves across the Atlantic. Some English newspapers assumed the score was a typo and printed it 10-1 to England. 16 years later, England again. But this time the giant wears blue. Ayresome Park, Middlesbrough, 1966. Italy, twice world champions, against North Korea, a team so unknown that the tournament barely wanted to let them in. The Italians expected a stroll. Instead, just before half-time, a 24-year-old soldier named Pak Du-ik picked up the ball, steadied himself, and drove it low past the Italian keeper. 1-0, North Korea held. Italy, one of the giants of the game, was sent home in disgrace, pelted with rotten tomatoes when they landed. And in a grey English industrial town, 11 strangers from the other side of the world had become local heroes. Gijón, Spain, 1982. West Germany are the European champions. A machine of a side that won every single qualifier and scored 33 goals doing it. One German player joked before kickoff that they would dedicate their 7th goal to their wives and their 8th to their dogs. Their opponents, Algeria, were African debutantes nobody respected. Football has a long memory for arrogance. Rabah Maja pounced on a rebound. Lakhdar Belloumi added a second. And though Germany pulled one back, Algeria became the first African nation ever to beat a European team at a World Cup. 2-1. The arrogance never reached the 7th goal. San Siro, Milan, 1990. The opening match of the World Cup and the honor of starting the tournament belongs to the defending champions, Argentina. Led by Diego Maradona, the best player on earth. Their opponents are Cameroon, written off before a ball is kicked. Then Cameroon lose a man to a red card. They play on with 10. They win a free kick, the cross comes in, and François Omam Biyik rises and hangs in the air above the Argentine defense to head the ball goalward. The keeper somehow lets it squirm under him. 1-0. And then it gets ridiculous. Cameroon, already down to 10 men, lose a second player to a red card in the final minutes. 9 men against the world champions and the greatest footballer alive. And they hold on. The final whistle at the San Siro is pure delirium. The reigning champions of the world, beaten by 9 men from Cameroon in the opening game of their own title defense. It was the kind of result that made the entire planet fall in love with the underdog, and it launched Cameroon on a run all the way to the quarterfinals. Now jump to 2002. The opening game again, and again the defending champions. France, the world champions and the European champions, the best team on the planet, packed with global stars. Their opponents, Senegal, are first-timers, and many of their players grew up in France, in the shadow of the very team they now face. In the 30th minute, the ball spills loose inside the French box, and a midfielder named Papa Bouba Diop stabs it home from a couple of yards. 1-0, Senegal defend for their lives. The champions of the world cannot answer. And France's nightmare only deepened. The defending champions crashed out in the first round without scoring a single goal in the entire tournament. Senegal, meanwhile, marched all the way to the quarterfinals. But that same summer belonged to the co-hosts as well. South Korea, on home soil, knocked out Portugal, then beat Italy in extra time, then eliminated Spain on penalties and stormed into the semi-finals. The first team from Asia ever to come that far. Two of the proudest football nations on earth, Italy and Spain, sent home by a country that had never won a World Cup match before that tournament. Then, sometimes, the giant simply falls on the biggest stage of all. 2018. Germany arrive in Russia as the defending world champions, four-time winners, the gold standard of the entire sport. To survive their group and stay alive, they need only to beat South Korea. For 90 long minutes, the goals will not come, and then, in stoppage time, it all unravels at once. Kim Young-gwon bundles in from a corner. Moments later, with the German keeper stranded upfield in desperation, Son Heung-min runs the length of an empty pitch to roll it into the open net. 2-0. The numbers are brutal. The defending champions of the world, eliminated. Dead last in their group. It was the first time since 1938, a span of 80 years, that Germany had failed to escape the first round of a World Cup. A nation built on relentless, ruthless efficiency, undone in 2 devastating minutes. And here is the cruel twist that runs through so many of these nights. South Korea, the team that produced the miracle, were knocked out anyway, eliminated in the very same moment by results elsewhere. They did not advance, they simply made history, and then went home. So here is the catch. Look closely at every one of these nights and the same shape appears. The favorite is not just good, the favorite is certain. They have already won the game in their heads before the whistle, and certainty, it turns out, is the most dangerous thing you can carry onto a football pitch. The underdog has nothing to defend and nothing to lose. They are loose, fearless, all in on a single 90-minute lottery. And a World Cup gives them exactly that. One match, no second leg, no chance to fix the mistake tomorrow. Football is the great equalizer because the gap between the best and the rest is smaller than any other sport allows. A single goal decides almost everything, and a single goal can come from anywhere. A deflection, a keeper's error, one header that hangs a half-second too long in the air. The giant must be perfect for 90 minutes. The underdog needs to be perfect for one. That asymmetry is the entire secret. It is why a team of part-timers or debutantes or 9 exhausted men can walk onto the biggest stage in the world and bring a champion to its knees. And this is the legacy that outlives every trophy. Nobody remembers the routine wins. Nobody replays the favorite doing exactly what the favorite was supposed to do. We remember the part-timers in Belo Horizonte. We remember 9 men standing at the San Siro. We remember a soldier in Middlesbrough and a continent rising in 2002. These nights are why a child in a country that has never won anything still believes it is worth turning up. Because the World Cup, more than any stage on earth, keeps promising that on the right day, anyone can beat anyone. So go back to Lusail, Messi in the center circle, hands on hips, watching a team ranked 51st in the world celebrate the greatest shock the game had seen in years. That was Saudi Arabia, 2-1, against the side that would go on to win the entire tournament. Because here is the final truth about football's greatest upsets. The favorite always knows the odds. The underdog never cares, and as long as the World Cup keeps starting all square at 0-0, the impossible is only ever one goal away. Which upset still gives you chills? Tell me below.